Only 294 out of 14,000 USAID personnel identified as actually essential. When I read that headline, and I saw a couple of stories about it earlier in the day, I thought, my gosh, that's one that legacy media is not going to pick up at all. This comes to us from the National Pulse. William Upton writing, a review of staff at the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has identified only 294 of the agency's 14,000 employees as essential to administering civilian foreign aid and development assistance. The internal review, originating from within the USAID, appears to have been initiated by President Donald J. Trump's Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, who is currently serving as the agency's acting director. The essential status determination comes as Secretary Rubio has begun transferring the few core programs within USAID intended to serve U.S. national interests into the State Department, a move that suggests the just 63-year-old aid agency may soon be abolished. Meanwhile, the National Pulse reported Wednesday that President Trump is expected to place most of USAID staff on leave on Friday. It is likely that the 294 workers deemed essential will be the few staff directed to remain at their posts. Over the last week, USAID has come under scrutiny after Elon Musk and the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, detailed the agency's expenditures. The agency's spending data reveals that nearly 90% of Ukrainian media relies on the U.S. federal aid agency to continue operating. Additionally, on Thursday, it was uncovered that the George Soros-funded East-West Management Institute has received $260 million in taxpayer money dispersed by USAID. In its current form, USAID has taken to operating as if it were not a government entity funded by U.S. taxpayers, according to Secretary Rubio. This assertion is backed up by the former director of the agency, Mark Moyer, who alleges that many of its staff actively seek to undermine Trump and refuse to report corruption to protect their jobs. You know, during COVID, we talked a lot about who's considered essential and who's considered not essential, right? If you had an essential job, you could go to work. If you didn't, then you couldn't. And rightly so, we lambasted that concept altogether. But there are exceptions. There are times when a person's job should be viewed through the lens of whether or not it is essential. And I can't think of any better time than when it comes to government agencies. If this is accurate, and I believe it is, again, we're talking about an internal review. This isn't something where you've got like DOGE looking into it or some inspector general going after it, doing a long 15-month investigation. No, this is basically somebody sat there with Secretary Rubio and his staff. They went through and looked. First they started at the department level. Is this project or at the project level? Yeah, no, they started at the department level. Is this department necessary? And I'm sure that they all said that this department of 140 people, technically speaking, if we eliminate these programs, then we could probably run the entire department with 5 people, because it really is just a matter of you got one person who's maybe looking for aid to deliver, and the other person is writing the checks, something like that. Then they have to look at the projects, and this is where, if a project itself isn't deemed essential, then anybody working on that project shouldn't be considered essential. Long story short is that if this is accurate, then that means that billions, hundreds of billions over the years of taxpayer dollars have been completely and totally wasted. They gave money to George Soros. They gave money to George Soros. Stop and think about that. How, in any world, in any reality, could giving money, U.S. taxpayer dollars, to a Soros-funded or aligned organization, how could that be in America's national interest? The answer is it cannot. George Soros works against America. Well, hopefully, Lord willing, this is the end for USAID. There's still a lot of work to do, but if anybody could do it, we got the right team. Trump, Musk, Rubio. Yeah, I think we can get it done. USAID must end, and it must end immediately. Thank you for watching that clip. I hope you loved it. Two things now that you're done watching the clip. Number one, find all my stuff and be sure to follow me on Rumble, YouTube, whatever, X, Getter, Brighteon, BitChute, those places. Go to jdrucker.com/find, jdrucker.com/find. Number two, please help support our newest sponsor. You can go to jdrucker.com/infowars, jdrucker.com/infowars, and shop the Alex Jones store. Help to keep an important piece of the media alive and well. jdrucker.com/infowars.